Welcome to Stories Junction. Let's get started with today's story. I'd known Sarah for 9 years and been married to her for 7. Our days in Charlotte ran like a well-worn playlist. Same Harris Teeter on Saturdays, same alarm at 6:15, same half-smile over coffee that didn't need words anymore. When our anniversary rolled around, I figured we'd do what we always did, low-key dinner at the little Italian place in Noda, maybe a bottle of the red she liked. 3 days before the date, she looked up from her phone and said, "Let's do it downtown this year. Somewhere loud, somewhere alive." I raised an eyebrow. "Since when do you want loud?" She gave a little shrug that didn't reach her eyes. "Feels like time for a change." That night, curled on the couch, she added, almost too casually, "Oh, my co-worker Mason might swing by for a drink after we eat." "Mason have a girlfriend who's cool with that?" I asked. "He's coming solo," she said, fast, like the words were on a timer. "Easier." Something cold brushed the back of my neck, but I swallowed it and made the reservation at the Capitol Grill anyway, the one she used to say was our someday place. The morning of the dinner, her iPad lit up on the kitchen island while it charged. A preview flashed across the lock screen. "Still taste you from yesterday." Mason, my heart didn't race. It just stopped, then restarted slower, colder. I tapped in her passcode, she'd never changed it from our wedding date, and scrolled. Months of messages. Pet names. Plans for hotel rooms disguised as late meetings. My name showed up the way people mention bad weather, something predictable, something to work around. "He never suspects a thing," she'd written. "That's why I keep him," he'd answered. I locked the tablet, set it back at the exact angle, and finished my coffee like any other Friday. At lunch I sat in the parking deck and called a divorce lawyer whose name I'd saved 6 months earlier just in case. "I don't want a war," I told him. "I want a clean exit." He told me exactly what North Carolina law allowed, what I could move, what had to stay untouched until filing. By 3 p.m. I had a new checking account. I didn't touch the joint one. Not yet. That evening Sarah came home glowing, twirling in a dress I'd never seen. "Tonight's going to be memorable," she said, kissing my cheek. I looked her dead in the eye. "It really is." The Capitol Grill hummed with Friday night energy, low amber lights, clinking glasses, the smell of truffle butter drifting over everything. Sarah sat across from me, radiant in that new dress, checking her lipstick in the black mirror of her phone. Near the bar, Mason leaned against the railing in a tailored blazer, pretending to read the cocktail list while his eyes kept flicking toward our table. "You're quiet tonight," Sarah said, reaching for my hand. "Just taking it all in," I answered, letting her fingers rest on mine like they still belonged there. She took a slow breath, the kind people take right before they jump off something high. "Baby, I need to tell you something." Her voice carried just enough for the tables around us to hush a degree. "I've been seeing someone. I'm in love with him. I'm sorry, but I can't pretend anymore." A woman at the next table actually put her fork down. The server froze mid-step with our entrees that I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I just looked at her and said, calm as ordering wine, "I know, Sarah. I've known for weeks." Her smile collapsed. "What?" "I saw the messages. All of them. I know it's Mason. I know how long. I know what you call me when you think I'm asleep." Mason started moving toward us like a man walking into a meeting he suddenly regretted scheduling. Sarah's voice cracked upward. "You went through my phone?" "It lit up right in front of me," I said. "You practically handed it over." Mason arrived, hand raised in that useless peacemaker gesture. "Hey man, maybe we take this." I turned to him, still seated, voice flat. "Sit down, Mason. You're already in the scene." His hand dropped. Sarah looked from me to him and back, confused, like she'd rehearsed this reveal 100 times but never with both of us in the same frame. I set my phone face up between the bread plates and started scrolling, slow enough for the glow to catch nearby eyes. First message. Hotel key photo. Her words, "He's too predictable to ever catch us." A soft collective inhale rippled outward from our table like rings in water. Sarah lunged for the phone. I moved it an inch out of reach. "Before you say another word," I told her, "his fiancée got the same screenshots this afternoon. Full thread. Timestamps. Everything." Mason went the color of the tablecloth. Sarah's mouth opened, closed, opened again, no sound. The woman at the next table whispered, "Oh my God," loud enough for 3 more tables to hear. Sarah stood so fast her chair scraped like a scream. "You had no right. I had every right to stop being your safety net," I said, still seated, still quiet. "You wanted honesty tonight. Congratulations. You got an audience." She looked around, 20 pairs of eyes pretending very hard not to stare, and for the first time all evening, the mask slipped. Real fear lived there now that I signed the check, left a generous tip for the traumatized server, and stood.
Let's go home, Sarah. We're not done.
She followed me out like a ghost who just realized she was the one being haunted. The drive home was 20 minutes of dead air thick enough to choke on. Sarah kept her face turned to the passenger window, arms wrapped around herself like the new dress had turned into ice. When we walked inside the house, she threw her keys so hard they skittered across the hardwood and disappeared under the couch. "You humiliated me," she hissed, spinning around. "You turned me into a spectacle." "You turned yourself into one," I said, closing the door soft enough that the clicks sounded final. "I just refused to help you lie about it." She stepped closer, eyes shining with panic and fury.
"So what now, Ryan?
You forgive me?"
We go to counseling?
"That's what normal couples do." I reached into the console table drawer and set a thick manila envelope in front of her. It landed with the quiet weight of inevitability. She stared at it like it might bite. "What is that?"
Open it.
Her fingers shook as she pulled out the petition. The word dissolution in bold caps hit her first.
Then my signature, already notarized.
Then the filing stamp from 9/17 that morning. "You filed?" "Without even talking to me." "There was nothing left to talk about," I said.
You'd already moved on.
"I just caught up." She flipped pages like they were burning her. "Where are you even staying?" "Already have a place in South Park. Keys are in my pocket. Bags have been in the trunk since Tuesday." Her knees buckled, she caught the back of the couch. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since the morning I read that you still taste him. Turns out I move fast when I'm not pretending to be asleep." She looked around the room, our room, like she was trying to find the version of me that used to cave when she cried pretty.
That guy wasn't home anymore. "You can't just take everything," she whispered.
I didn't. Half the joint savings is still exactly where it was. The rest is in an account with my name on it. Perfectly legal, perfectly fair. She tried one last spark of anger.
"This house is titled solely in my name," I finished.
"Bought it 2 years before we ever said vows. You insisted on signing the quitclaim because you wanted the tax break. Remember?" Her face crumpled as memory punched her in the gut that I picked up the handle of the suitcase I'd left by the door days ago. She hadn't even noticed it. "Sarah," I said, pausing at the threshold, "you told me tonight you wanted honesty. This is what honesty actually costs." I walked out. The door shut behind me with the soft finality of a coffin lid by sunrise. She was already rewriting history online. A long tear-stained post about a cold husband who blindsided a loving wife, who abandoned her without warning, who never even tried.
No mention of the affair.
No mention of the public confession. Just carefully curated victimhood. I read it once, closed the app, then reopened it and left a single comment under my real name. "You announced you were in love with another man at dinner last night.
In front of 20 witnesses.
I'm not punishing you. I'm just done protecting you from the truth." Within an hour the comments section detonated. Someone posted a grainy phone video from the restaurant. Another person tagged Mason's profile. His fiancée, ex-fiancée now, wrote a calm, devastating paragraph that ended with "Thank you for the receipts." Sarah's phone started blowing up.
Mine stayed quiet.
For the first time in years, that felt like winning. 3 days later, a certified letter showed up from her attorney. Demands for temporary spousal support, claims of emotional cruelty and financial coercion, accusations that I'd orchestrated everything to punish her. My lawyer laughed once, short and dry, then shredded it in front of me that we walked into the Mecklenburg County Courthouse a week after that. Sarah sat on the petitioner's side in a navy dress that looked borrowed, hands folded so tight her knuckles went white. When the judge asked her to explain why she needed emergency support, her voice wobbled through the rehearsed lines. Loneliness, isolation, a husband who planned his exit in secret. The judge turned to me. "Mr. Harlan, did you restrict her access to funds?"
"No, sir.
I moved 50% of the liquid joint savings to an individual account the day I discovered the affair. The other 50 remains untouched. She still has her salary, her 401k, and the Lexus in her name."
"And the affair?"
She confessed it voluntarily in a crowded restaurant on the evening of September 12th. Multiple witnesses. Sarah's attorney tried to object, the judge waved him off. "Employment status?" he asked her. I have a job," she mumbled. "Income comparable to your husband's."
She hesitated. "Close."
The gavel fell like a period at the end of a very short sentence. "Temporary support denied. Matter will proceed to final equitable distribution."
Next case.
Outside on the courthouse steps she tried one last time, voice cracking in the October wind. "You're enjoying watching me fall apart."
"No," I said.
"I'm just not catching you anymore." That same week HR at her company launched an investigation. Turns out dating your direct superior, especially when he's engaged to someone in legal, violates about 6 policies. Mason got escorted out of the building on a Friday with a cardboard box and a one-way transfer to a branch in Greensboro. Sarah lost the promotion she'd been bragging about for 8 months, got reassigned to a windowless cubicle on a different floor, and watched her annual bonus evaporate. Her calls stopped sounding angry and started sounding small. "I just need a cushion for a couple months until this settles," she said one night, voice thin as paper. "That's all I'm asking."
"You had a cushion," I told her.
"You spent it on hotel rooms and lies." 2 nights later came the nuclear option. "I'm pregnant," she whispered into the phone that I let the silence stretch just long enough. "Sarah, we haven't slept together in 10 weeks. You had your period the week before the anniversary. And you sat right next to me at the vasectomy consult in 2022. You even asked the doctor if the swimmers were definitely, permanently gone. Ring any bells?" Click. After that, the messages turned into smoke, single words, half apologies, questions with no follow-up.
"Hey. I'm sorry.
Do you ever think about me?" They floated in and vanished like she was testing whether I was still watching. I wasn't. People she used to weekend brunch with started crossing the street when they saw her coming. The group chats went quiet. The life she thought was bomb-proof turned out to be made of gossip and glass. I kept walking forward, one clean step at a time. The final hearing was held in a small fluorescent-lit room that smelled like old paper and lemon polish. No drama, no audience, just a tired clerk, the judge, and the 2 of us sitting across a scarred wooden table. Sarah looked smaller than I'd ever seen her, plain blouse, hair pulled back, no makeup, trying to sell a story. The terms were read aloud, simple and surgical. She kept her car, her clothes, her retirement account, and exactly half the joint savings that had never been touched. She also kept the $14,000 in credit card debt she'd hidden in her name alone. I kept the house, premarital, quit-claimed, untouchable. No alimony either way.
The clerk stamped the decree once. Divorce is final.
You're free to go. Outside in the hallway, Sarah lingered by the vending machines like she wasn't sure which way was out. She finally stepped closer, voice barely above the hum of the lights. "I don't even recognize my life anymore." "You built a different one without me in it," I said. "This is just what it looks like when the curtains come down." "Mason's gone," she added, almost to herself. "Moved to Greensboro, changed his number. Didn't even say goodbye." "That's what people who live in secrets do," I told her. "They vanish the second the spotlight hits." She let out a cracked little laugh. "I threw everything away for a guy who wouldn't even fight for me."
"You did," I said.
"And the part that hurts you most is realizing I never threw you away. You just stopped being someone I needed to keep."
Her eyes dropped to the floor. "You loved me once."
"I respected you," I answered. "That was the bigger loss." She nodded, slow, like the words finally fit in a place she couldn't argue with. Then she turned and walked away, no pleas, no tears, just the quiet click of her heels fading down the corridor. Months slipped by without a ripple. My mornings started with birds outside the same kitchen window, but now the coffee tasted like mine alone. Evenings ended with the TV remote in my hand and no tension waiting behind the front door. Sarah reached out a couple times, short notes that deleted themselves after reading. "I miss the old us."
"I was wrong.
"You were the real thing." I never replied. I didn't need to. Word traveled the way it does in Charlotte. She'd moved into a one-bedroom in Plaza Midwood, sold the designer bags on Facebook Marketplace, started scanning sale tags at Harris Teeter like the rest of us. The friends who once toasted her glow-up now pretended not to see her in line at Common Market. Mason's name became the guy nobody remembered inviting to anything. One Thursday night I found myself walking past the Capitol Grill again. The same corner table sat empty behind the window, glowing under the pendant lights. The host recognized me and smiled.
"Table for one?" "Yeah," I said. "That one."
He sat me down, handed me a menu, and left me with a low hum of strangers' laughter. I ordered the filet, medium, and a glass of the same red we never got to drink that night. While I ate, I thought about the moment Sarah stood up, so sure her confession would set her free. It did, just not the way she planned. She chose someone else.
I chose myself.
And that quiet choice changed everything. I wasn't the predictable guy she mocked in those messages. I was the man who walked through the fire without burning the house down, without screaming, without needing revenge. The real power wasn't in the exposure. It was in the silence I've kept ever since that I paid the check, left another good tip, and stepped back into the cool October air. The city felt bigger, lighter, mine again. Somewhere across town, Sarah was learning how heavy secrets get when you have to carry them alone. That I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The story was over, and for the first time in years, I got to write the ending myself.